Good Wednesday evening here. I'm Nicole, as always, from Chattanooga, Tennessee of the United States. Joining me from America, Sao Paulo, Brazil, is Gus Hamazelli. And, wait, who is this? Is it Dylan Becker with a mustache? Dylan, I understand that you have escaped the House of Mouse.
But I did my time there,
You're
and
muted.
it's oh shoot,
No, no, no. You're good. You're good. You're
I'm
good.
good. All right, cool. I did my time, and it's not that Disney frowned upon facial hair, but since I've just been kind of sitting around doing nothing, I'd figure why not give it a try? And clearly, given your surprise, it's going well so far. On a scale of pitiful gamer to full on Top Gun mustache, how does it look?
In my opinion, it's really astonishing. I feel like it fits you. It gives you a little bit of a Texas look. I know you're from Maryland, but it gives you a little bit of a kind of like a Texas vibe. But I'm good here in a wet Americana, Sao Paulo. It just don't stop raining. It rains every day in this freaking city, and has been really wet. But I guess Nick has come back. Nick, are you
Ye-
back? Can you listen
Yes,
to us?
yes, I am back, and I can actually hear you guys now.
There
I
you
couldn't.
go.
I could not
There
hear
you
you
go.
at all to start the show. Which, hey, how am I going to do a podcast if I can't hear you?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yes, but we are here. It is the first Wednesday here. Wait, no, it's not the first Wednesday of February. It's the second Wednesday of February. It's been a busy week, guys. There's been a lot going on. Literally covered a trial of an NFL player charged with murder today. So it's a lot going for here. But let's go here and sit down here. Let's talk about some sports. Of course, I've got the Vols on the television here, and we were talking. Gus and I were talking about this kind of. I don't know if we talked about in the end of our last podcast or like actually on air. So when we have done podcasts during a Tennessee basketball game, this conference season, the Vols are 0-3. Now, keep in mind in the other games that we have not like done podcasts during, the Vols are 6-1 in conference play. So we're putting a theory to the test here. Are we the reason why Tennessee keeps on losing SEC conference games? Because we streamed during the Florida game and both Kentucky games.
And as I found out recently, especially in my job, this kind of thing is been taken seriously in terms of bad streaks and bad lucks.
Yeah, but hopefully the Vols will get this turned around. Mississippi State is a sub 500 team. They have a guy starting named Anchor. So very interesting. But anyway, we'll talk more about college hoops here in a little bit. But we had a little thing called the Super Bowl the other night over in Santa Clara, California, in the sunny California sun. And it was a sunny day to be a Seattle Seahawk. The Seahawks controlled this game from start to finish, especially on the defensive side of the ball, beating the New England Patriots 29-13, getting revenge on the Patriots from the infamous goal line stand game back in was it 2015. But the Seahawks have their revenge. They have their second ring in a decade. Guys, when you take a look at this performance, we kind of expected a low scoring defensive match heading into this, and that's exactly what we got here. And I was really, really impressed with Mike McDonald and the scheme that he created for the Seattle Seahawks in this game.
Yeah, definitely, especially giving Sam Darnold because at any point I feel like Seattle uh, needed something different. Like Sam Darnold literally lost a game manager. He just made safe throws and just let the defense makes Drake May really uncomfortable. This Super Bowl remind me a lot of Super Bowl 50. Ironically, 10 years ago, kind of when Denver's defense did not let Ken Newton, do anything.
Oh, that's a very good comparison. I mean, and that was the last one in San Francisco. I mean, literally, it felt like the same exact game. Now, granted, in that game, I think the Panthers were seen as the favorites. They had had the best offense all year. The Patriots, I think people knew that they were really ahead of schedule here. And we talked about throughout the year how they had a really weak schedule, and they didn't seem incredibly battle tested. And I think it's worth bringing up that this felt like a very fluky run for the New England Patriots. Like they were not the best team in the AFC at all. They got lucky that the Broncos lost Bo Nix. They got lucky that the Bills choked against said Broncos, and they got lucky that C.J. Stroud forgot how to throw a football when they played them. I mean, I legitimately think the Patriots were probably the worst of those four teams, but everyone else self-destructed, and they just were the beneficiaries.
Stupid luck happens like that. I mean, I remember watching the game between Baltimore and Pittsburgh a bunch of weeks ago that determined who would go to the playoffs. And our rookie kicker, biggest kick of his career at the time, possibly wins the game, sends the Ravens to the playoffs, misses. And do I believe the Ravens could have won the Super Bowl if they were in the position the Patriots were in? Probably not. It just felt like a rough year for the AFC in the playoffs.
Yeah, like it's really fascinating because this is the second straight year now the AFC was totally just destroyed in the Super Bowl, right? The Chiefs last year got absolutely ran out of the building by the Eagles, and this year the Patriots get thoroughly dominated by the Seahawks. And if you look
And
at the Super Bowl, yeah, well, go ahead.
no, and just real quick to add to Dylan's point, that's why the Buffalo Bills ran their coach out of the building because this was the Bills here. Like they
Mhm.
had the opening. Like the AFC was for the Buffalo Bills to take, and they, you know, another time uh, blundered. And but on the opposite side from past seasons, this time I feel like was all on the Bills, and but definitely the AFC was the weaker conference, and the Super Bowl put this to light.
Oh, 100%. It feels very reminiscent of the 1980s, guys. If you're familiar with the super history of the Super Bowl, there was a ton of blowouts back in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, look at the Bills losing four straight Super Bowls. I mean, the 49ers were destroying like the Bengals and the Broncos. And I mean, there were a ton of NFC. The NFC at one point won 13 straight Super Bowls. It almost feels like we're in a similar era right now because there's an argument that the best four teams in the NFL this year were all NFC. The Seahawks, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Bears, I think, were
I
all.
mean, is that an argument that the NFC West is by far the best division in football?
Oh, but it's not. I mean, there's not a second that's close. I mean, maybe the NFC North is kind of close, but I mean, the NFC West was easily the best, easily. And you have to wonder, like, if you're the Cardinals, if you put the Cardinals in like the NFC South, how many games do the Cardinals win in that division? Do they win six? Maybe if they're playing weaker teams.
Yeah, there's a chance, and I guess being a conference because not I maybe the 49ers has more issues, but I don't see the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks going anywhere soon. Like they're all here to stay, at least to this decade, or maybe for the next 2 years. They're gonna be competitive, and the Bears probably outside of as you point out, I think with the great dual quarterback coach. But yeah, I think the future looks bright in the NFC and the AFC. There's a lot of because most all the franchises, including the ones that have like star quarterbacks, they all have question marks. Like Kansas City, Buffalo, Dylan's Baltimore Ravens. They're all question marks.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know if we can believe in the Patriots. Like I mean, how are they going to respond from the Super Bowl loss? Sometimes we see teams like really struggle a year after losing the Super Bowl. Like I mean, the Steelers, we have no idea who's going to be their quarterback. I mean, the Bengals will have Joe Burrow, but are they going to have a defense? The Bengals have no defense. The Jaguars, they showed a lot of progress, but can they take a next step? The Texans show they have an elite defense, but can they keep those pieces together and figure out something on offense? And what teams could possibly have a massive turnaround? Can the Chargers finally put something together? They have talent. but the Chargers every year just seem to find a way to choke. The Broncos, right? I mean, but the Broncos probably should have gone to Super Bowl this year, but I mean, they got screwed with the Bo Nix situation. And can they put themselves back together? And how quickly does Bo Nix come back? How quickly does Patrick Mahomes come back? And even on the NFC side, the Seahawks will have to make some decisions here, right? Because the Super Bowl MVP here, Kenneth Walker, he's up for contract this year. Um, JSN, I think, or Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think he's up next year for a contract. I think one of their other big defensive stars, I want to say Devon Witherspoon's up for a contract as well. So they're going to have to start paying to keep some of these guys. And especially with all the defensive stars that they have, because a lot of those guys they have on rookie deals, I mean, they're not going to be able to keep everyone. And let's be real, right? Like, I mean, Sam Darnold, obviously, I mean, had a very good season and did what he had to do and didn't lose games. And that was the thing that, we all wondered, could he do that, right? Because he historically was a very turnover prone quarterback. But I do think that, is he more Trent Dilfer? Is he more Joe Flacco than someone like a Eli Manning? Because Eli Manning managed to do this twice. Managed to take the Giants twice to a Super Bowl. Can Sam Darnold be Eli Manning and do this again? I just don't know because I don't think Sam Darnold played it particularly great in this game either. Because I mean, yes, the Seahawks defense was amazing. Patriots defense was really good in this game too. The Patriots defense was trying so hard to keep that team in that game. They just were getting no help from their offense.
Yeah, but and now, if funny enough, Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson have the same number of Super Bowls in their careers with the same franchise. So now the second season up to task because you know there's a lot of contract questions, like Nick pointed out, and at least Sam Darnold has a friendly deal, and that's you know the gimmick of this kind of washed up but still really good quarterback. Because like Sam Darnold's the kind of player that is a I put like in the Baker Mayfield category. That he has talent, but he was drafted in a very lousy and uh, chaotic franchise, but he has the potential, and he showed all this potential this season. And I saw a lot of memes about how the Minnesota Vikings fans are really feeling about their franchise letting Sam Darnold go and seeing him win the Super Bowl.
Minnesota could have been a championship pending, could have been in the hunt for a championship this year with Sam Darnold. They could have. Like, if you look at the roster they had, look at the defense they had, look at, having Justin Jefferson, the running backs. Like, they were missing a quarterback from being truly competitive, and they they decided to roll the dice this year with JJ McCarthy, and he did get better through the season, but he's still, considering what you just saw Sam Darnold go and do, I don't know if that was the right call. Now, granted, if McCarthy comes out next year and it's just awesome, like in the next year or two, then yeah, the Vikings made the best long term decision because then you have a top tier quarterback for years potentially. Um, but that's just speculation.
And sometimes it takes guys to develop into the athletes that the teams need them to be. Sometimes they're just straight up busts. It just all takes time to figure out. You can't win the championship overnight.
And we're seeing the importance too of just competent franchises, right? I mean, the Seahawks, John Snyder. I mean, he's built two different championship eras now for Seattle. The Legion of Boom Part One. Now he's got the Legion of Boom Part Two. I mean, the dude's a genius. He's has to be one of the best front office executives ever. And then you look at a team like the Jets, and they made us all think Sam Darnold was garbage when he wasn't. It was just a
That's
bad franchise.
that's why again, as a quarterback coming out of college, I it's not a failure to not be drafted with the first pick or even second and third, because sometimes falling in the draft into late first round can give you stable franchise. Like look at Lamar Jackson. Would he be uh, this talented quarterback if he was drafted by the Browns or by the Jets or even by the Raiders. Who knows? But he was drafted later in the first round by Dylan's Ravens, and then now people can't deny how good he is.
Right,
We'll we'll find out how good he is now that we're going through a change in coaching regime, but that's a whole other thing.
I mean, Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson,
Oh
regardless of who
yeah.
the coach is. I mean, the problem with the thing with the Ravens is they. I think clearly what you guys were missing, because remember the Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald was the Ravens DC.
Hmm.
When you guys were really really good, when you guys had that Super Bowl chance 2 years ago and lost at home to the Chiefs.
Ah,
Remember,
yes, that.
yeah, and that wasn't the defense's fault at all. Like Mike McDonald held Patrick Mahomes to 17 points. Like Mike McDonald is a defensive genius. That was an offensive failure.
Yeah, I remember Zay Flowers got that taunting penalty. Was that that year?
Yeah, that was that
Yeah.
game. So I mean, Mike McDonald has always been very good, and I remember when they hired him, I'm like, that's a good hire. I think he's going to do well, and then he has proven that. Like, ironically, because a lot of people are looking at Mike Vrabel and look him as a mini Belichick. Mike McDonald might be more Belichick than Vrabel is in terms
I,
of his defensive acumen.
I think it's because Vrabel was a player under Belichick, has the same kind of uh, style and and speaking, but yeah, like Mike McDonald, the way he won the Super Bowl, it reminds me a little bit of the early titles from the Patriots as well. Because remember, the first two Patriots Super Bowl wins on the first 21st century, uh, Brady was kind of like Sam Darnold, like he was a game manager, like the defense that was the kind of like the best part of their team.
What's going to be epic too is Mike McDonald versus Sean McVay for years to come in the NFC West, because you have probably the best offensive coach in the game versus the best defensive coach in the game in the same division. I mean, let's all agree, and I predicted this last week, and it definitely came true. Rams Seahawks was the real championship this year. Those were the two best teams. That was an epic game, and if the Rams had somehow beaten the Seahawks, the Rams would have beaten the Patriots too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like those two teams were the best teams in the NFL, but they had to meet early because, and that's why I don't know that you might be wondering about this. The division winners go on top of the seed in the playoffs, and then there's the wild card. You know, that's why it creates situations like matchups like Seahawks and Rams early in the playoffs because of
Well, I mean, they
that.
played an NFC title game. I mean, that was the latest they could possibly play.
Yeah, but yeah, but they could face each other in the wild card. So because of that, but yeah, that was an epic battle too in the end.
Woo! Sorry, Nate and Mint just slamming the ball there. Sorry about that, Gus.
You might be
Um,
slightly ahead of me.
yeah, I know the errors are streaming. It's always trying to figure out
It's
where we are.
frustrating.
Yeah,
I
but like I
sometimes
will go ahead.
no, I was gonna make a joke. Sometimes I am ahead of you guys, and I'm here in Brazil. Remember how a couple of times like I was the spoiler one, but go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. And I also want to say too, there is no one at this game in Starkville. This thing is like half empty. The Mississippi State
Well,
fans have checked out this year on basketball. Clearly,
are they on East Coast time or are they in
Central.
Central?
This is Central time,
I
so it's
even that it's 8:30 on a Wednesday for them. It's like I sort of get it. I went to every basketball game my senior year just because I had a bunch of cupcake classes. But like it's late and it's the middle of the week. So I can sort of understand why nobody's there.
and it's all like it looks like the youngest person there is 50.
But, but
There isn't any noise being caused outside of like the
Yeah.
band.
It's a good thing they don't have those stupid cowbells.
Oh God, man, that football game, man, that was like, I still don't know how we survived that game. But kind of circling back to Mike Vrabel for a second though, because I obviously said that McDonald's more Belichick than Vrabel, and obviously as a Titans fan, right? I can't really talk that much crap about Vrabel because the Titans have been absolute garbage without him, and Vrabel still got the Patriots to the Super Bowl, even if it was kind of a fluke. I don't know if he's going to get them back to another one though, because like everything went perfectly this time. And while I do like Vrabel, I do miss Vrabel. Vrabel was not perfect. I think while everyone's like trying to get rid of him, he did make plenty of mistakes as Titan head coach, right? Like, I mean, we came out several times during the playoffs, like against the Ravens in 2020 or the Bengals, and we just were flat, and the offense stunk, kind of like what we saw in the Super Bowl here. And let's not forget against the Broncos, the Patriots only scored 10 points. I mean, the offense was not good throughout the majority, basically all of the playoffs for the Patriots. So, yeah, and partially you have to wonder, is Josh McDaniels truly the OC you want to ride with here? Because, I mean, I get it that, like, he's been there 3 times. He's won multiple Super Bowls with Tom Brady. But to me, Josh McDaniels' scheme is old and it's worn out. And like was sitting there watching New England, I'm like, they're not going to do anything innovative here to make this competitive.
And when you have someone with that experience, it's nice to have them. But the era of Tom Brady is gone, and I think the Patriots need to sort of figure out the new identity under their franchise because the whole new wave of the NFL is happening. Patrick Mahomes is killing it. Lamar Jackson's killing it. Bo Nix is killing it. Josh Allen's killing it.
Yeah, and of course they could say
How?
to that is, well, hey, we made the Super Bowl, and those guys were in the Super Bowl this year. Is what
Okay,
they could say.
that argument can be made, but you made the Super Bowl, but you didn't lose it, or you lost it. So that's not what the history books are going to care about. People only
Yeah,
really care about the winners. And like I can't even tell you who everyone always remembers who won the Super Bowl, bunch of random years. Unless you're a true fan of the sport, then you probably don't remember who lost.
yeah. Only one team gets to hold that Lombardi Trophy, and this time it was the Seattle Seahawks. Just a dominating performance, and unfortunately, another kind of downer of a Super Bowl. That's the second straight Super Bowl that was a blowout, and we were really blessed for a while. Where it seemed like every Super Bowl was just a tight to the wire finish. But we're kind of on a 2-year streak here, so hopefully things will change in that department. Because for the last football game of the year, I want it to be a good, close, competitive game, and this thing just really wasn't that competitive. So,
I
yeah,
mean, when you're not emotionally invested into it because your team's not in it, it can just kind of go wherever way you feel like. I wasn't super bummed it wasn't competitive, but also wasn't bummed it wasn't a blowout. So like, or it was a blowout. Um, Again, none of the teams I had opinions on were involved, so what's it matter? I was just watching for fun for the love of football.
yeah,
But yeah, definitely you expected to be at least close because you always one of those kind of moments. For example, the last time those two franchises played in the Super Bowl, everybody remembers that goal line play. The Patriots been to a Super Bowl where they had to come back from a 25-point deficit and win in overtime. And a couple of years ago, we had also Super Bowl in overtime that was literally had to go on the last play of the overtime to be decided. So those were the Super Bowls that everybody remember. Arizona, Pittsburgh, that Santonio Holmes, kind of, if you ask people in Phoenix, they say he had 1 foot, but if you ask people in Pittsburgh, he had 2 feet on the ground. So
absolutely. And those are the classics that we all remember. And this one definitely did not go down into that realm. It seems like more people care about the Super Bowl than the halftime show than
uh,
the
I
actual
loved it.
game.
well,
I really really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and I've actually kind of become a fan of Bad Bunny because of it. I never really listened to him before it, but he has some bangers.
I've enjoyed seeing him on Saturday Night Live whenever he's made appearances, and he's made a few random appearances in WWE. and those are always a blast to watch just because it's just fun. He's having fun with his level of popularity in the world, and when someone's just doing it for the love of the game, it's even more enjoyable because they're clearly enjoying it themselves.
Yeah, and to your point, Dylan, you made a perfect point. Like the Super Bowl halftime show should be enjoy, should be enjoying music. Why everything has to be seen as a political message on both sides? On both sides, like I'm so fed up with that. Just if you wanna, if you like his music, enjoy. Like Nick did it. I'm great, but oh my god, I don't like it. You can turn off the TV, right? You don't have to
Yeah,
have an opinion on everything and throw a tantrum. Just turn the effing TV off
yeah.
or go watch something else. Like you live in a country that you have multiple channels, and you know it's not like you even in the 90s where okay, like there's the Super Bowl, but then there's like reruns of shows because there's not nothing. It's not worth it to put anything good while the Super Bowl is being played. But now we live in an era you can watch literally every like TV show, streaming, YouTube, whatever. So if you don't like his music, just turn off. Like you don't
And
have to make it a political statement and oh my god, like you posted it on your Facebook. Like what's a tantrum?
yeah, I mean, okay, so the congressman from Tennessee, Andy Ogles, is not my area, from another area. He said that the show was, quote, like gay pornography and completely un-American. And like, I like saw people be like, "Oh, we can't have a show that's like primarily in a different language at like the Super Bowl because it's un-American." But first and foremost, Puerto Rico is an American territory. Like literally, it's a part of the United States. Now, there's an argument what that if they should be or not. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go into on a political tirade here, but what I will say is the folks of Puerto Rico deserve a bit more self determination than they're getting right now. I mean, I mean, literally, these folks are like serving our country, and they're literally they can't vote for president. They don't have congressional representatives outside of a shadow representative that doesn't get to vote, and they're not their own country. So I mean, they're kind of in no man's land. So I'm not going to go beyond that. But all I'm going to say is. Um, we're not doing right by Puerto Rico. That's all I'm gonna say. And that was kind of like one of the messages of the show. And there never certainly was a political message in the Bad Bunny show. But Bad Bunny made it like a fun show, right? And like a lot of
Yeah.
people don't think realized what the message really was, because I recognize, right, like when he was doing the power pole bit, that he was referencing like Hurricane Maria,
Hmm.
and like the power outages there. But like he also was showing the resilience too of the Puerto Rican people, and like it's just fun music and like the salsas and like the marriage. I mean, the marriage was awesome.
That was all. I
Uh,
loved that.
and like Lady Gaga coming. I didn't realize that was Lady Gaga at first, to be honest with you. I'm like, who is this? And then it took me a minute to realize, oh wait, that is Lady Gaga. Um, it was just fun and like, because basically, right, like you got people saying like, oh, this was like a demonic, and it was, just such a slap in the face of the middle finger to America. I'm like, how? How? Like, I mean, certainly I could think of something else that was a bit more of a middle finger to the rest of America.
See, my logic is if you're going into something thinking it's going to be evil or whatever, and specifically looking for something to be mad about, you're going to find it. How about you just enjoy it because it's fun? Like Metallica, one of my favorite bands, is full of angry, demonic messaging about praising Satan and doing horrible things. I'm not doing those horrible things. I'm just helps me bench press better.
Well, I mean, as Gus was pointing out, it's because people are treating politics as a team sport when we
Oh
shouldn't be
yeah,
treating politics
yeah,
as a team sport. And they feel like, oh, because our like dear president hates Bad Bunny, that we should hate him too. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
look, and I mean, I'm not gonna like comment on what his political positions are or whatever, because that's beyond the scope of this podcast. And I cover those issues on a daily basis as a reporter. But I mean, my God, like it was a fun show. I had a good time with it. Like, and I think you can be a conservative and you can enjoy Bad Bunny. You can be a liberal and enjoy Kid Rock if you want. Like just enjoy. what you enjoy, man. And just because you enjoy something doesn't mean you are automatically a part of that political ideology.
Yeah.
That is the one message I want to relay to folks. You don't have to fit into a neat box. No matter what the culture war tells you, no matter what these people online tell you, um, you can enjoy whatever you want. And if anyone tries to shame you for enjoying Bad Bunny, just listen to some DTMF, do some salsa, fine.
And I saw stupid. I mean, I'm tend to lean conservative, but I saw a conservative commentator. Her name, I think, is Emily, saying sports is rigged. Like, I don't believe that for a second. But like, she's saying, oh, how can the NFL have a Spanish speaker? But the NFL is growing the game, is growing the brand internationally because they already conquered the American market. Like, the NFL is number one. Uh, you know, the number one league, and football is the number one sport in America. So they're thinking about reaching out overseas with with games overseas, but also bring artists from like different languages as well. I can see the appeal.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna. So Jason works in the comment section, and just look at this comment here. The Maroon Five disrespecting Steven Hillenberg by not singing "Sweet Victory" after telling people they would is way more offensive than the Spanish language. And that is by far the worst halftime show. He also says "nice stash" as
Yep.
well.
I haven't really been showing it off much, but this might be its first big public appearance beyond my immediate friends that I hang out with.
Also, I do want to point out as well. So I had an anecdote from a friend. He works on a golf course. He oversees a lot of the workers on the course. A lot of them are Hispanic down in Florida. And he was telling me that a lot of them don't watch football on a regular basis, but they all tuned in for this because they all are massive Bad Bunny fans. And he was telling me on Monday they were all just kept on singing and dancing to the halftime show. And then a couple of them told him, "Hey, I actually really like the game. I might start watching football now." So Bad Bunny brought them in and delivered at 147 million television audience. Um, and hey, there's a couple of Bad Bunny fans who never watched football because it wasn't part of their culture, but now they're going to. It's like the same thing with Taylor Swift in the NFL. People complain about like, oh, I'm so tired of the NFL focused on Taylor Swift. But you know what goes on now on r/Taylor Swift and subreddit? Every time the Kansas City Chiefs play, there's a literal game thread, and you go in there. There's people, those girls on there are talking football, and they know what they're talking about. Like because the NFL, yeah, Jason says new Taylor Swift effect. The more things change, the more things stay the same. And Jason pointing that out because the NFL, in terms of like your average American sports male fan, they've got as much of us as they're gonna get, right? They gotta go out. They gotta like expand out. And if a show like Bad Bunny can bring in some new fans, yes. Like we need new fans. I mean, is there a Hispanic kid out there who watched that show and it's now like, oh, I want to play football now? And now maybe we got like a great running back or something in 15 years because of the Bad Bunny show. I mean, stuff like you got to think about stuff like that. And the NFL is ultimately a business, and they want to grow that brand, and because they know that boycotts don't work. I mean, all these people have been saying they're going to be boycotting the NFL since Colin Kaepernick a decade ago, but the ratings go up every single year. You know, like um, Jason says, "Be real, Nick. They'd be kickers. Ask me, know how I know." And well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, like you look at like a Daniel Reeves for the Vols. I mean, he was a tight end, so that's not necessarily true. I mean, Fernando Mendoza, he's Hispanic and he just won the Heisman. So you know,
But your point, Nick, you brought up Taylor Swift again. I know you talked about this on the last podcast. I if I'm Taylor Swift, I'm doing the halftime show. Is the most watched music concert on television in a yearly basis. Like, and she has all like connection with being has a relationship with a star player. That's why I don't see the point of Taylor Swift, uh, making it hard to be on a Super Bowl halftime show.
Didn't she? Wasn't she offered the opportunity to do it but turned it down?
I'm sure she gets offered it every single year.
Oh yeah,
It's basically when she wants to do it, she'll do it. I mean,
probably.
because the NFL will let her do it whenever she wants to do it. She just hasn't done it yet for some reason. And I really do think that I don't know what she's necessarily waiting on necessarily. I don't know if she's waiting on Travis Kelsey maybe to retire before she does it, or
That seems
uh,
justified, to be honest.
yeah, and also too, I think you gotta look at it from Swift's standpoint because Bad Bunny, right? Like there was a lot of American folks, including myself, right, that weren't that familiar with him, so he probably gained a lot of fans doing that show or like even like a Kendrick Lamar, right? Like if you're not like a huge hip hop head, I've listened to Kendrick Lamar since I was like 12, but there's a lot of folks out there in the general American public that may have just learned about him in the past few years or may not be that familiar. Taylor Swift, everyone knows who that is, right? Like you may not be you may not really have that much exposure, but to the contrary, right? Michael Jackson, 1994, everyone knew who that was,
Yeah,
and
because
yet
it's
he
Michael
still went and did it.
Jackson.
Yeah, Prince of 2006. Everyone knows who that is. When Lady Gaga did it, pretty much everyone knew who that was. When Katy Perry or any of these other people did it.
The crazy thing is, it was 2020 when Shakira performed the halftime show, right?
Correct. Yes.
Bad Bunny made an appearance during that show, and no one. It's just coming out now that that was him. 6 years ago, nobody had any idea who he was. All of a sudden, he's one of the biggest artists in the world.
Also, let's talk about that. No one had any issue with that show at the time, and that I know there was a lot of a lot of the songs were in English and stuff. There was a lot of Spanish in that show too. So, no one had any issue with it then. I mean, probably because everyone was like, "Oh, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez are hot." So,
Yeah, that was most definitely it. I'm
yeah.
glad you said it, not me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep
Not
it
saying
real
that that
there.
was my reason. I was gonna watch it anyways, but
Yeah. I will say I'll be curious if Taylor Swift doesn't do it though. Next year is in LA. Of course, the last time they went to LA, they did a West Coast hip hop show, so they probably don't do that again. Wonder if if Taylor Swift weren't to do it. And I think also too, the other thing I will point out here is the nature of the halftime show is also changing because I think Bad Bunny proved that because the halftime show is only like 13 minutes in length, right? So you can't put on a full length concert. It's you either have to do like 4 songs basically, or you put together a music video basically, which is what Bad Bunny did, like what The Weeknd did a couple of years ago. You make it one seamless experience. I mean, look at Kendrick Lamar. I mean, he basically did a whole very subtle political message in his halftime show, and I wonder if Taylor Swift sits back and she wonders, okay, before I do this halftime show, I gotta have a good concept in my head of what I want to do for this particular show.
and
And,
there's
because
a lot
I yeah, go ahead.
there's a lot that goes into it beyond just playing your music. I was listening to an interview with Billy Joel on Howard Stern saying that number one, the sound system can crap out at any time because he did the national anthem a few years ago, and just as he started playing, his headphones went out. He couldn't hear himself sing. He couldn't hear the piano. Everything just failed. Number two, when you go the route of having it as sort of the big show, a music video, like you said, that eliminates a lot of artists because that's just kind of not their style. And that's one of the reasons Billy Joel didn't want to do it because he just wants to play the piano with all of his friends. Some artists can do the flashy stuff like Bad Bunny and The Weeknd. Some artists just choose not to. It's just about vibes.
Yeah, I'm trying to envision what like a 13-minute Taylor Swift show would look like, right? Because like I think about like the 10-minute version of All Too Well, right?
Exactly what I was thinking.
And like that is amazing, but obviously she wouldn't just do All Too Well, right? Because like I'm sure like it's probably going to be it would be some sort of like believe in yourself like type thing where like you probably be a mashup of like some of her older stuff with some of the newer stuff. Because I could see her finishing it off with like Shake It Off" or something. Um,
A condensed version of the Eras tour,
yeah, Jason says she'd do a mashup like the Who.
probably.
I think also, if it wasn't to be Taylor Swift, right? Someone else who would be really good at it is Sabrina Carpenter. I think she actually has the catalog now to do it, and she has the showmanship. Like every time Sabrina like it does like the Grammys or something like that, like she does like almost like a mini Super Bowl halftime bit. Like she Sabrina will do the Super Bowl event 5 to 10 years. And honestly, it might make more sense for her to do it because she's definitely a superstar. But I think a lot of older folks don't know as much about her because I just talking to some of the older folks that I like work with or like my parents or whatever, and because like we were talking about the best commercials, and I was like, oh, I think Sabrina Carpenter's Pringles commercial was one of the best from the other night. And they're like, oh, and I had to explain, oh yeah, the blonde girl from the Pringles commercial. So they're not really familiar with her music and stuff, but like she'd put on a good show. Um,
It'd make a lot of people mad, but they can just go
well,
watch a different halftime show.
well, I'm curious to see how the same people who were ups MAGA's not ready for a Sabrina Carpenter halftime show. Oh
She
man.
can keep it family friendly. We've all seen the Muppets that she
Well,
just did.
Well, hey, she's at least she's preferred to them in a certain way. Let's just put it like that. Um, Now, granted, maybe not in other ways. Um, I mean, okay, the one that would really make some folks upset would be Chapel Roan. Now, let's be real. Hot to Go would be unbelievable at the Super Bowl.
Oh, that'd be dope. And my logic is, however long ago Lady Gaga was, she is just as outlandish as Chapel Roan, and I love it. But that was what?
That
How
was
long?
2017. That was the Falcons Super
Jesus.
Bowl. But like Chapel
Oh,
Roan,
that one.
here's the thing: Lady Gaga was restrained in her halftime show.
Lady
And
Gaga
like,
walked so Chapel Roan could run.
yeah, no, Chapel Row would get people in trouble, would get some executives in trouble if she did the show. It would be unbelievable if she did the show. I'm trying to think of because LA, right? Because like you probably want to do Hot to Go was unbelievable. And it was just me of a couple of drunk frat guys at the Ohio State game. I can't even imagine the Super Bowl. It would be unbelievable. But then she would like probably cuss out the president or something, and or like make some political statement about Gaza or something like that, and then just it would go off the rails quickly.
If Green Day can
If,
show restraint, she probably can too.
yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? The Super Bowl, like you can't just go completely to the walls, right? With complete messaging, like you have to be really subtle. Um, a hip hop artist I would love to see is Tyler the Creator. I think Tyler the Creator would be incredible as a halftime show. Now, granted, I don't know if Tyler the Creator is quite a household name, right? Outside of hip hop circles, because like, I think Tyler the Creator amongst like Gen Z is a household name, but I don't think a lot of older folks know who he is, and obviously he has a ton of controversial stuff that he has done. Um, and he would have to really heavily censor his stuff. But I think in terms of a cinematic show type halftime show, Tyler the Creator would be like perfect for that. But I don't know if he's quite Super Bowl popular, like
It's the best thing I could come up with right now is I looked up top 10 bands or artists from LA, and the first result Google gave me were a bunch of bands that our parents and grandparents listened to, which don't get me wrong, all that music is awesome, but like some of the ones that stick out. Unfortunately, Van Halen wouldn't work because Eddie Van Halen's no longer with us, and David Lee Roth is David Lee Roth when it comes to talent. Motley Crue has the same issue. One that does stick out to me as well is Weezer is from Los Angeles, but I can't imagine Weezer doing the Super Bowl halftime show.
they might get to do like the pre-show maybe,
Yeah, that
kind of
that would
kind of kind of like
work.
what Green Day did.
Um, but when they already did the like old school hip hop with Dr. Dre, NWA, all that stuff a few years ago. It just the best. Actually, hang on.
Well, actually, while you look at that, Gus, I know Jason has a suggestion in the comments on what next year's halftime show could be, and this is an off the wall pick here. But what about Weird Al?
If you get mad about Weird Al playing the halftime show, you just suck as a person. There is nothing wrong with his music other than the fact that it's fun. It's
Dude, what
not
if
I,
you
meant to
just?
be
I
taken
would love
seriously.
Sabrina Carpenter. I think she's a great singer.
Oh man, if certain folks see this, I'm going to be in trouble. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. Um, if they get mad at me, I'll send them the clip of what I was saying about. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. You can enjoy whatever halftime show you want. Um, the real halftime show. And also, just a point of clarification: if you're gonna do an alternate halftime show, make sure the halftime show is short enough to actually fit inside halftime. Because um, if your halftime show bleeds into the third quarter, it's not really a halftime show anymore.
Yeah.
But oh man. But in any case, I think we spent enough time talking about the halftime show. Enough time for me to potentially be canceled. It is what it is. Oh man. This is
Yeah,
Two Countries to America's All Sports After Dark.
yeah, that's
Uh,
why we love this platform because here we can speak freely, and here we have the opportunity to, express ourselves and even have great guests like Dylan and his great mustache.
yeah, and then that's the thing that with the culture war, right? Like, there's a lot of like pressure to self censor yourself, to like fall into camps, and do not give in to that pressure. Be yourself, because I doubt most humans do not fall neatly into any camp at all. We have a bit of everything in us, um, and we're just gonna do what we do, you know.
And one of the biggest compliments I got while working for the Mouse was I was always unapologetically myself in the good way. There's obviously parts of my personality that I didn't do while I was working because that would have gotten me fired probably. But I didn't put on the whole song and dance, everything is fun and whimsical. I was just me, maybe ramping it up to an 11, and everyone loved it, and no one had an issue with it. You just got to be yourself and enjoy what you like.
Absolutely. Yeah, but that was the Super Bowl. Another NFL season in the books.
Do we want to make predictions for who's going to win next year's?
Top of my head, that's a good question.
Rams,
That's my that was my
Ravens.
that was my first thought was the Rams. I don't know.
Heart says Ravens, brain says Bills.
Okay, this may be a hot take. The Super Bowl next year is going to be the Jaguars and the Bears.
Whoa, that's. I think it's gonna be Rams Chiefs.
I am going to go. Since this is all way too early, hypothetical fantasy predictions, just for fun, I want to say Ravens against Commanders.
Yeah, Jason says being
Nope.
unapologetically goofy makes the world a safer place for others to do the same. Come on, fellas, let's get weird. If you know, you know.
But I loved Dylan's prediction because it would make the DMV go crazy if that Super Bowl would have been the greatest local rivalry matchup of all
Yeah,
time.
and
It's
Jason agrees with me. He likes Jags versus Bears as well, for the logo colors conspiracy. So there is certainly that, and also I'll say this: I expect the Ravens and Commanders to both be a lot better, right? Like I expect Jane Daniels to have a bounce back season after last year. I expect Lamar Jackson to have a bounce back season. So I think both teams will be better.
hopefully. Otherwise, why the Ravens fired Harbaugh, I will have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into some other sports here real quick. College basketball, the Vols are up 37-27 to 28 at halftime. We'll see if they can hold on to this lead. because we weren't able to on Saturday. Granted, Mississippi State is not Kentucky. But and of course, after we talked, we live reacted to the Kentucky game, and that was just very irritating to lose to them twice in the same way. But they're playing decently well tonight, and just taking care of an opponent that's below 500. Um, Dylan, I don't know how much of the team you've gone to watch this year. Just you know,
I watch when I can. It's the Now that we're in SEC play, I'm paying attention a little more. Um, both I remember watching both of the Kentucky games, and Tennessee's going to Tennessee. You get your hope up so much against a rival, and only to be emotionally destroyed. Um, and that's the thing. I'm always, depending on who we're playing and what sport, my level of rivalry intensity changes.
mhm.
Do I like Kentucky when we play them in football? Of course not. Do I dislike Alabama more than anyone when it comes to football. But when it comes to basketball, the beef with Kentucky gets a little higher because they're more of a basketball school. So that game means a little more to me than when we play Alabama. It's great to beat both of them, and it sucks to lose to both of them, but it's different depending on the sport.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's different in every sport, based on the team and based on the rivalry. But um, for Tennessee, right? It's just we're inconsistent. And but thankfully this week you got two of the lower teams in the league, so hopefully the Vols will be able to get both of the wins this week. Jason points out that his Louisville Cardinals had a big win last night against NC State. Michael Brown is back from injury, dropped 45 on Will Wade's head, and there's been a lot of discussion about Michael Brown maybe trying to kind of keep himself out of playing to go to the draft. But no, he's back. He's playing well, and Louisville's a much different team with them. Tennessee beat Louisville without Michael Brown, which was a huge difference in that game. Also, point out that Clemson lost at home by 10 to an unranked Virginia Tech team. So, bad loss for them. I also want to point out the number one Arizona lost for the first time this year the other night. They were beaten by number 9 Kansas. Kansas did not storm the court for beating Arizona. Um, Unlike North Carolina, who was fined for court storming after the buzzer beater against Duke. And that kind of prompted a discussion like, how blue bloods aren't supposed to storm the court. So, like, Kentucky doesn't storm the court, Kansas doesn't storm the court, but, like, North Carolina did.
Jesus, Jason.
Yeah, I saw that one. Oh, boy.
I mean, but going back to the Duke North Carolina thing, that's like the greatest rivalry in college basketball. So, like, regardless of what the series is, when you win that game at home, you just gotta go for it.
Yeah. Um, Yeah. Also, shout to Miami Redhawks of Ohio. They are the last undefeated team in the country at 24-0. But we really went through their schedule last episode, Dylan, and they've not really played anyone. They've not played a single P4 team. Their Ken Palm's an 85. Strength of schedule is 350. So there's arguably, if they lose in their conference tournament, if they're like 30-1, they may not make the tournament.
What conference are they even in?
The MAC.
Okay, I should know this. I almost went to Miami, but it's when you're outside the Power Four conferences, you are obviously when they make the decisions for who's in the tournament, you obviously get a bunch of the Power Four schools in. But that's the great thing about basketball compared to football is anyone can have a basketball team. Not everyone can have a football team. Schools from conferences we have never even thought of can make the tournament and possibly go on a Cinderella run and get everyone fired up about it. Because when you have such a big tournament like March Madness, teams like Miami can thrive.
Absolutely. And obviously, I'm having some technical issues, so like I won't be able to pull up a bracketology necessarily. Um, but we'll make sure to try to do that in the next episode. Anyway, let's get into some Olympics, Dylan. Your Winter Olympics are underway in Milan, Italy, and right now Norway and Italy are tied for the lead in terms of total medals. Although a Norwegian skier is tied for holds the biggest L of the tournament so far, guys. Did you see this guy? He won bronze, and I forget what sport it was. But then he comes out and says, "Hey, I have to
Oh
admit something.
yeah,
I
this
cheated
guy.
on my girlfriend," and admitted it on national television, and basically begged for her to come back to him.
That guy
I
deserves
guess
to be made fun of.
I guess he tried to use the platform that he had to really make a ultimatum or desperate appeal. But yeah, he should have thought about the public reaction as
Here's an
well.
idea: maybe don't cheat on your girlfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now everyone around the world's just clowning him because of that. Just
Uh,
not a smart decision on his part.
The internet
Uh,
is forever. We will
except,
remember this, and it will follow you for the rest of your career.
yes. But in serious news, before we get into hockey, I do want to talk about Lindsey Vonn though, because that's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
just I mean, she like went out there and she tried to compete on the torn ACL and was doing pretty well.
yeah.
Was fighting for a medal, and then she had the really bad fall, and it seems like her career is probably over.
And she's already. I have a feeling this was going to be her last Olympics anyway. She's been competing for as long as I can remember. Um, when she's one of the greatest American athletes of all time, and there's a ton of people that don't get talked about enough just because their sport isn't something that regularly plays on TV. Like we all past 25 years, we've had Michael Phelps, we have Lindsey Vonn, we have Katie Ledecky, all athletes that people only really focus on during Olympic season, and they're getting up there in age. They're starting to break down, and it's sad to see them go, especially someone like Lindsey Vonn, who's had such a legendary career, to end with such a brutal injury like that.
Oh, 100%. It just sucks to see, and hopefully she has a really nice recovery. And looking forward to what her post Olympic career is like. But Olympic hockey, this is going to be a wild tournament coming up. But first, let's talk about the women, right? Because the women's hockey is
Oh, that's
ongoing,
been
Dylan.
dope.
Yeah, the American team is going absolutely nuts. So just kind of fill us in on where they're at right now.
So I have the results for the preliminary round pulled up. The American women played the Czechs on Thursday and won 5-1, and that was the last time the U.S. got scored on because every other game has been 5-0 shutouts, including for the first time in history over Canada 5-0. I think historically they've beaten Canada 4-0 maybe once, but 5-0 never. And it just goes to show that women's hockey is very different than men's. It's a lot more precise, it's a lot faster. They don't hit as much, so they got to be more tactical with how they play. And typically I'd criticize that style of play because that's how men's hockey is played in Europe. Seeing as I played for 16 years in the North American style where physicality is the way to go, that's hockey to me. But again, this is women's hockey. The rules aren't necessarily different. It's just sort of played different and it's considered okay. It is a weird double standard, but also like I'm not expecting women to go out and do their best Tom Wilson or Bob Probert impression and just start leveling people.
I mean, it's not like they can't be physical, right? I
But
mean,
I've seen some physicality both in the Olympic tournament so far and I think it was a few months ago, there was a fight in the PWHL. They didn't get their helmets off because they got the cages strapped on the side and buckled underneath. But that punches were being thrown at center ice, which was dope. Um, it's a whole different game, and it makes it more exciting because when I watch men's hockey, I can tell you exactly what I do in any given situation. When I watch women's hockey, I can't tell you what's going to happen next because they have a whole other way of thinking.
Absolutely. And what do you think will be the keys to the U.S. women getting the gold here?
Um, doing exactly it is that they're doing. The fact that their goalie has only let in one goal. I got to pull up her name. I should know this. Uh,
'Cause I'll be honest with you, definitely with like scheduling and stuff, I really haven't gotten a chance to watch the women's team play, but obviously, definitely happy for their success and hoping they were able to get it done because obviously, we're kind of behind the medal count so far. So
and
hopefully,
we're at 12, or hang on. Yeah, we're at 12 medals, so we're only one behind for first place. But the point is, going back to what would be the US's secret to win the gold, just keep doing what we're doing. Canada is probably the greatest hockey team in the world. And the fact that you can hold them back to 0 goals and also outscore them 5-0 is ridiculously impressive. I know one of Canada's good players was injured, and hopefully she'll make a recovery to come back at some point in the tournament. But everything is going fine for the Americans, so I wouldn't change a single thing.
absolutely. Now on the men's side, that thing starts tomorrow, and
Yes.
the last time we saw the men's hockey team was last January, and the Four Nations faced off. We had the epic game series against Canada, won the first game, and then lost the championship match there. How does this U.S. hockey team stack up to that team
So
that we saw then?
pretty sure the Olympic team and the Four Nations team are near identical, maybe some additions, a few subtractions. The issue that the men are going to face is the lack of physicality that the Olympic Committee allows. I find Olympic hockey is, on one hand, very entertaining because it's the best in the world facing off against each other. Before the Four Nations, we haven't had that since 2016. Now, looking at the Four Nations and how exciting that is now the standard of how I want my international hockey. And because of the way the Olympics are, that can't be met. Yeah, both Kachuk brothers being incredibly physical. Um, like I was saying earlier, the men in North America are taught to play the physical game. The Euros are the ones who are more tactical and precise. And the Olympic Committee forces the men to follow this tactical and precise rules when that's not how a lot of them grew up learning how to play. So they have to basically relearn how to win and how to succeed, because when you can't absolutely level someone to get the puck, what are you going to do?
I didn't even realize there was such a change between like NHL and the Four Nations versus the IOC. Because I mean, the U.S. has had decent success
Yeah,
in
I,
recent. Yeah,
I would like better than a bronze medal in my lifetime. I'm sure there's plenty left, but I just, again, Canada's been ridiculously dominant over the past forever. Russia's not in the Olympics anymore, but they're also a top contender every 4 years. Sweden's always a threat. Um,
and
and
like
they
I
can,
get why Russia's not there, but like I
yeah.
am kind of sad we're not going to get a U.S.
It,
Russia. I
it,
love U.S. versus Russia in the Olympics.
Jason and I were texting about this earlier. Olympic hockey is best when Russia is around, just because of the history between the U.S. and Russia in the sport.
Yeah,
And then with that, actually, another point we brought up is earlier when we were on football. a lot of guys are starting to get into their twilight years. A lot of guys from the new generation are coming up. There's a lot of hockey players that this is probably their last Olympics. Captain Canada, Sidney Crosby, is hanging up within the next couple years. Um, I don't think Patrick Kane is on the men's Olympic roster, which is a mega bummer. Um, Tom Wilson's still young, but he's old, but healthy enough where Canada considers him good enough to be on a line with Connor McDavid. But you have guys like Ovechkin and Malkin, two of the greatest athletes to come out of Russia, who are unable to compete because of what's going on. And I don't know or really care what their political beliefs are. It's just something about representing your country that every athlete wants to do, and it's a bummer that they can't do it.
Yeah, and like obviously they didn't decide to invade Ukraine, but that's kind of the consequences that Russia has to pay for
Yeah.
that decision. So it sucks, but that's kind of what it has to be. But looking at like U.S. versus Canada, right? Because obviously it feels like that's the inevitable showdown here. And you look at like Canada, right? They got Connor McDavid, the best player in the world right now. We've got Austin Matthews, who's probably our best attacker. But
Mm-hmm.
Austin Matthews also is a guy, and feel free to disagree with that if I'm wrong on that. But obviously, Austin Matthews with the Maple Leafs has. They feel like they've always come up short in the postseason compared to a McDavid who has drug Edmonton to the Stanley Cup Finals in recent years. Um, so I feel like that is a disadvantage for us, right? Like when you look at like our best scorer in threat versus their best scorer in threat, definitely Canada has that by far. And then I don't love our goalie situation. I mean, I know that Halliburton, what was it like? Not, Halliburton, right? I think is our main goalie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I mean, he's good. I mean, because he plays for the Jets, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, but I f-
Canada obviously has the better roster, and people are only saying all those things about Austin Matthews because of who he plays for, which makes sense. It is sort of fun to make fun of the Maple Leafs. But when it comes to the Olympics, I don't care who you play for in the NHL. I will back anyone wearing the jersey of the United States because you're not a Maple Leaf or a Penguin or a Capital. You're an American and you're representing America. So go out and win us a medal.
exactly. I mean, it's like the World Cup will come up in a couple of months, right? Like English fans, right? They're going to put aside whether or not they're like a Chelsea fan or a Tottenham fan or whatever, right? Because they're going to root for their team. They're going to root for their country. Um, so you know, I'm very excited to see what happens here. Who do we play first in
Latvia at 3:10 tomorrow.
3:10 tomorrow? Latvia. And how good are they?
Um, I have no idea to be honest. I can't name a single Latvian NHL player. That's probably on me. But if and anyone that's good enough to qualify for the Olympics can very easily be considered a threat to us because it just takes one loss to ruin the tournament for you. Um, in 1980, the U.S. tied Sweden in their first game, which meant if they didn't beat Russia, they were out, no chance for a medal. So you got to take every game seriously, regardless of how good the other team is. Like Sweden just beat Italy. I want to say it was like 4 or 5 to 2 earlier today, and there are no NHL players on Italy's roster. But Italy put up a good fight against Sweden. So it just takes an unlucky bounce from a shot and a goalie fumbling a puck and it crossing that line to get a team ahead. I think Nick froze.
But yeah, I think it's one thing I liked about the Winter Olympics is to see San Siro or Giuseppe Meazza. I mean, if you ask Inter Milan fans, Giuseppe Meazza. If you ask Milan fans, it's San Siro. Be on a big stage like that because it looks like they're gonna go, turn it down or do a big rebuild in a couple of years. So it was great. And on my side, Brazil is not invested. I mean, we are a country where there's no snow. I mean, the coldest Brazil gets is a really cold day on the spring for America. So, in terms of Winter Olympics, we don't follow as much.
I mean, you can still find a way to compete somehow. Look at the Jamaican bobsled team from a bunch of years ago. You just got to put in the effort and have fun with it. For a lot of the countries, it's not necessarily about winning gold. Like I said, you're representing. I it's I explained it to one of my friends the other day. I would root for the U.S. in literally any sport, whether it's something big like hockey, soccer, basketball, or something small like thumb wrestling. It's the patriotism of it all and the friendly competition. You look at all these skiing and snowboarding is a perfect example where it's just a bunch of people doing all those cool flips and stuff, showcasing that they can do these cool things and they're from this country you've never heard of. So that's good for them. They're getting the recognition.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dylan. Great point.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Having a more technical. This has been the great technical malfunction episode of Two Countries, Two Americas, all sports on my end. But the last thing I really want to ask, though, well, on Olympic hockey, how far do you expect the Americans to go?
Now that the NHL's back, I'd expect us to go deeper than we have in the past when the NHL wasn't around. I would like to say we are going to make it to the gold medal game, but it's the actual best in the world NHL players against each other. So it could go any weird, crazy way. Canada's it's probably going to be us against Canada in the end because that's the easy, obvious answer. Could Sweden sneak in and take one of our spots? Probably. It's happened before. Finland could do it. I don't really consider anyone else a potential threat to the U.S. or Canada in taking a spot for the gold medal game, but one of the two nations in North America will be in the gold medal game, and hopefully it's the U.S.
Absolutely. Hopefully, we can get that thing, and hopefully, Freebird is still our goal horn as
Oh,
well.
it is. It is.
Yeah,
We're not letting that go. I'm not sure if
yeah.
you've been watching just my random Instagram stories, but anytime the U.S. does anything in the past few days of the Olympics, I post the result and just put Freebird over it because it's just that awesome.
Yeah, guys, just so freaking awesome. And Gus, obviously Brazil, tropical country, the Winter Olympics is not really a thing there necessarily. I mean, are there any athletes for Brazil in this?
To be honest, though, I don't follow as much. I would have do more invested in research. Probably there's some, Brazilian who lives overseas and competes it, but yeah, it's not a competition where Brazil, really follows
You have
through.
14 athletes in.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good amount for a country that, I mean, you're never going to see an ice pond in Sao Paulo.
yeah,
I
or
mean,
or ice ring in Rio.
it's possible for countries that aren't necessarily wintry to succeed. One of the reasons Australia is so successful in snowboarding is because they do a lot of surfing down there, and it's basically the same mechanics and physics. Um, some countries it makes sense, like obviously Italy's got a bunch of mountains, especially since they're hosting. but you wouldn't consider Italy as one of the like heavy winter sports countries, but it works for them. Um,
Of
who
course,
else?
in the U.S. we're blessed to like have the best of both worlds, right? Be able to do the summer and winter, and like so we have some of the most diverse climates in the entire world.
Saudi Arabia has two athletes competing, and that's in the middle of the desert.
I mean, obviously Jamaica obviously has a is famous for their bobsled team.
We were just talking about that. Yeah, they got six athletes playing. Who else is interesting?
Because it's fascinating, right? Like being from like Tennessee, like people here don't really talk about the Winter Olympics the same they do for like the Summer Olympics. You know?
Well, because it's one of those things where anyone can figure out how to play a sport or do something that's in the Summer Olympics. It's the Winter Olympics that gets complicated because everything is some form of sliding on ice. Now, there's two ways you can get ice where you live. Number one is live somewhere cold where you just got to go outside. Number two is you got to put a lot of money into building the facilities, and that's probably how the Saudis are doing it. Number three is, and this goes to the Summer Olympics actually, find something that translates to the winter. Like I said, Australia is known for surfing, and they're pretty good at snowboarding as well.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be fun to watch. I cannot wait to watch some of this hockey starting tomorrow. But while we're on hockey, Dylan, obviously we're now in the break for the NHL for the Winter Olympics. So it's kind of like where the NHL right now. Kind of, is there anything that surprised you so far about the standings in the NHL? You know, any teams that are doing way better than you thought? Any teams that have tanked the season? I know the Maple Leafs. Last time I looked at it, they were terrible. They
Yeah,
were
they're not doing great.
yeah. So
Uh,
like, what happened to them? Because I know obviously we know about their playoff shows, but usually they're pretty good in their regular season.
it's honestly, it's just a bad year for Toronto. Then every year's a bad year for Toronto. What am I saying? But I, they are investing too much money into their first line, and it's clearly not working out for them because you're paying Austin Matthews a ridiculous amount of money. They just lost they lost Mitch Marner to Vegas. Um, William Nylander is another guy that they're probably paying a lot of money, and you can't put all your faith on your top guys. You got to sort of spread it out. A bunch of years ago, when I'm not trying to be biased here, Vegas made it to the Stanley Cup final their first year because they had a perfectly balanced roster where they weren't putting all of their chips on a select few guys to bring them success. Everything just happened to work out for them. Washington was able to counter that by just having that megastar power that I'm, as of right now, criticizing. But it's not working out for Toronto when you're betting on Matthews and friends and not worrying about the rest of the guys. You got to build the team from the bottom up.
Yeah, and also the
Uh,
Florida Panthers too being at the bottom, and they've been very good recently. You know, winning several cups.
it's they got that Stanley Cup hangover. It gets to everyone eventually. You can only be good for so long. I feel bad for Brad Marchand, who is another guy in his twilight years of his career, and he signed a new contract with Florida. I once, yeah, in the offseason to stay. And he's a guy, as much as I despised him growing up, that I want to watch him go out on a high note. And with the way Florida's playing, it's not going to look like it. Um, the Rangers sort of released a press statement a few weeks ago that they didn't use the term rebuild. I can't remember the term that they did use. I want to say it was like some dumb like reorganization and or refocusing. But the fact that they're in last in the Metro Division is crazy because they're always one of the historical best in the division. Um, St. Louis at the bottom of the Central Division sort of makes sense. Vancouver, sort of checks out. Anaheim has been making a pretty decent revival after being not great the past few years and losing Trevor Zegras. Um, who else is sticking out? Tampa is succeeding because hockey in Florida works. They're getting all of the money from the fans moving south from Canada to come support the team, putting all the money into the team's bank account and being able to get all the players that they need.
Hey, the Preds
And
are no longer in the basement either. They're kind of doing better. Now I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs because I mean they're making a push for the wild card, but at least there's some progress.
that's about all you can really hope for. Getting Stamkos in the offseason was an interesting choice by them because it's Nashville is one of those teams dead in the middle where I don't think they're necessarily doing anything wrong that's causing them to fail, but they're not doing anything right to elevate themselves to championship contenders. And getting one of the best players to come out of Tampa Bay is obviously an interesting move to possibly better your team, but whether or not it works is up in the air because again, Nashville is just one of those teams that's always fine. They're not good, but they're not bad.
Absolutely. So right now, who do you think would be your favorites to win the Stanley Cup?
Ooh, and let me look at league standings overall. Um, when it comes to the overall standings in the league, it's looking like it would be a matchup between Colorado and Tampa Bay, which would be exciting. Um, honestly, I'd probably go with one of those two teams. And Colorado isn't even in double digits for losses yet, so I think I'd pick them. They got 83 points in the season, 37-9-9 win-loss record.
Yeah,
Um,
they still have like Nathan McKinnon and
oh yeah,
just that insane front line.
it's Colorado is stacked. So they've won the cup in the past couple years. They could do it again. Tampa's won the cup in the past few years. They could do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Montreal is ranked sixth in the entire league. They made it to the finals a couple years ago. Um,
It'll be good
didn't
to see a Montreal home crowds back in the league in the
it
playoffs.
it's this goes back to the national pride thing where I almost enjoy the fact that the NHL is Canada or hockey is Canada's sport, yet they haven't won a cup since the 90s. We've held
Yeah,
it for 30 plus years at this point, and I as an American I sort of enjoy holding that over them. Um,
because like it's just there's so much more pressure playing for the Canadian teams.
yeah. Um, hang on, recounting 2, 4, 6. Pittsburgh is in the top 10, and this one I feel icky about saying because as a Caps fan, I always hated Pittsburgh the most, but Crosby and Malkin are about to call it a career. It would be fun to see them go on a playoff run. Not going to say it would be fun to win them for them to win the cup because that would be blasphemous as a Caps fan. But honestly, my fantasy Eastern Conference Finals matchup would be Pittsburgh against Washington, just because of its 20 years of that rivalry between Crosby and Ovechkin coming to a conclusion in the highest stakes game that they've ever played.
Absolutely. I'm definitely excited to see where the rest of the hockey season goes, and definitely excited for some Olympic hockey this week. I do want to mention the Vols are up by 20
Woo!
with 12 minutes left, so it looks hopefully we are on our way to breaking our streak. Gus, your Knicks won by 49 tonight in Philadelphia, 138-89. Of course, the Pacers beat them last night, despite the Panthers kind of being very short-handed. But they've made some trades recently. We talked about that in the last episode. I do want to shout out just some quick other notes. Softball, Tennessee softball started off 5-0 this past weekend. Carlin Pickens only let up two runs in the opening weekend. So the top five team, I'm very excited for their potential and how deep they could possibly go. And baseball starts this week as well. They got some tune-up series before they really get into some, um, obviously some bigger play or more hard play, of course, under new head coach Josh Elander. And I saw Tony V is uh, about ready to enter into some spring training with the San Francisco Giants, which I'm very excited to see what they do. Yeah, and on the whole, about MLB, the most interesting thing going on right now is the Braves have to create their own TV network because FanDuel Sports has completely gone bankrupt, and there are some teams like the Braves and the Angels that right now don't typically have a TV partner. So they're trying to figure out a workaround, and maybe, just maybe, we can get those games on YouTube TV.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that play or have regional broadcasts. Like the Orioles play on Masson. They just or the Washington Nationals just pulled out of the Masson deal, so they're in TV purgatory right now. I have a feeling that they're going to go to the broadcast network of the Caps and Wizards, Monumental Sports, because that would make sense being in DC. You just gotta make that TV deal somehow, and it's frustrating that it's everything is TV deals and streaming rights because I enjoyed watching sports a whole lot more when it was just on TV. I didn't have to pay for 1,000 streaming services to watch certain games, or like I don't have a high enough package to watch this game, but this comes with the package that I currently subscribe to. It's a whole complicated thing. And I was reading a thing earlier that in order to get access to MLB TV, you have to pay extra money on top of your ESPN Ultimate package or whatever the top tier thing is called.
Yeah.
It's baseball is one of the most broken sports when it comes to broadcast rights, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we can see a move finally. Maybe American teams realize that you don't have to go on like to uh, traditional television. Like your YouTube channel is a channel. Like
Yeah,
maybe we can maybe go into that. Why? Like Nick knows how much YouTube plays a key role in the state championships, especially here in Sao Paulo, where every team, all the four leagues, more the second, third, and fourth division here in the state of Sao Paulo, all games were broadcast on YouTube. Now there's more partners in, so like there's three outside partners from the Police Federation, but I think maybe regular YouTube maybe can be a way to the Braves.
Absolutely. I mean, I just looking at what we do, right? Like we do Facebook lives and stuff to promote our stuff.
Yeah.
Social media and online is so important. So hopefully we'll have a really good deal there. The last American topic I had this week is the Daytona 500, beginning of the NASCAR season officially. Kyle Busch won the pole tonight. A winner is, I mean, this race is always very random. There's a chance it could rain, which is very on brand for NASCAR, unfortunately. It just seems like they can't go a race anymore without it raining. So, but anyway, 500, one of the more interesting races of the year. Um, yeah, and that's all I have for American sports. Gus, I know Rio Branco was in action today.
Yeah, they were here in the city of Americana at the Suvita Stadium. They tied 1-1. They were down by one at halftime, but they were able to at least tie in the second half. But the team's still struggling to find chemistry. The midfield has problem creating plays. All dependent on the wingers on the left and right side. A lot of silly mistakes. The new coach had probably four or probably 3 to 4 complete practices because, for example, tomorrow is gonna be a only full practice for what we call the group two. You know, where only the players who didn't play or play less than 30 minutes are gonna be practicing on the field. The rest are gonna be in the gym. You know, kind of more rest days. So that's an issue that Marcelo Marelli, Rio Branco's head coach, addressed in the press conference today. That he's been saying, even say the quote, dreaming about next week because after Saturday's game against Desportivo Brasil, Rio Branco is going to have a week to play their next game. So maybe Marelli will find then the ways to fix the mistakes because the team is not playing so well. Last but not least, it's so weird. I know for you guys it wouldn't make sense, but I have to go on a rant. It's still so weird to see the Brazilian Championship being played in January and February in the same time as the state championships. In my brain, it feels like it's kind of preseason. It doesn't count, but it does. You know, we are in the week 3 of Brazilian Championship, so it's kind of weird where you have a competition that normally didn't start this early in the year starting because it makes my brain go crazy. But still, though, we had games tonight. São Paulo won 2-0, and they're top of the league. And you know we have Bahia, second, Bragantino third, Chapecoense that just got promoted is fourth. Good start. Mirassol still on top like last season, and the bottom you have Santos again.
Jeez,
Santos
man.
and
Freaking
it's
Santos.
no, Santos, like their fans are so in desperation. They're in the relegation zone in the Brazilian Championship. And last Sunday, they had to win against Noroeste to avoid relegation as well in the Paulista State Championship. So fans cannot catch a break in fighting relegation and just being a mediocre team. That's why the fans are protesting, the front office, the president, Marcelo Teixeira. He's just Santos and Vasco da Gama are the two of the the most kind of like all over the field, all over the place teams, and they're just not working as well. And you know, and that's all I have for I guess this Sunday is the last week of regular season for the Paulista State Championship First Division. Uh, Corinthians and Palmeiras, they are in. São Paulo, they're basically in. They need a win against the last place and already relegated Ponte Preta to get in, so they're gonna get in. Santos, they're gonna need a miracle. They're gonna have to win their game and then just hope that Botafogo or Guarani loses. So more hard. And so let's see what's going to happen the last week of the regular season of the first division of the state São Paulo State Championship.
Yeah, and Dylan, you actually put something very interesting just to kind of wrap us up here. The exciting news for Villanova and Notre Dame.
Yeah, so just for fun and the fact that the Pope went to Villanova, Villanova and Notre Dame will be playing a basketball game in Rome next season to kick things off for college hoops. Um, Bringing American college sports to an international audience is always fun. It's even more fun when there is an actual reason. Like I said, the Pope is an alumni of Villanova, Notre Dame, a historically Catholic school. Why not put them together in the city? Well, Vatican City is its own country, but in basically the proximity of where Catholicism is based out of, just because it's fun.
Yeah, again, it's American sports expanding overseas and kind of have a connection religious wise. Great idea.
I love that ESPN's already advertising the fact they're going to have the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, they are cool.
Yeah, so yeah, ESPN, ABC, will be broadcasting the Super Bowl. So they're already advertising the full 360 something days away. Um,
Gotta gotta get those sport fans already, you know that they're gonna be in.
Well, the real
yeah,
pickle that they're going to have next year is the Super Bowl is going to take place on Valentine's Day. So a lot of wives and girlfriends are going to be very unhappy that their man is distracted. A lot of guys are going to be bummed that they got to go out to dinner with their significant other rather than watch football. I'm single, so I don't have to worry about that problem anymore.
yeah. Well,
Who cares? I'm
I
watching
certainly don't have to worry
football.
about it. Well, I
But but
understand.
but I'm gonna make a prediction. That this year is gonna be a breaking record of boyfriends trying to find a place to have like a mimosa, like mimosa or brunch. It's gonna have a record of couples going on brunch, because then going on brunch means they're gonna be done with their romantic going out duties by like night. So
Romance goes both ways. Valentine's Day is always guys try to do stuff for their girlfriends. Let next year's Valentine's Day be one for the guys. We'll do something fun during the day, and then we'll go home and watch the Super Bowl. Just this once. Give it to the guys.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's going to be a lot of money to be saved, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, hope everyone has a fantastic Valentine's weekend. For Dylan and for Gus, I am Nick. Thank you so much for watching the only Brazilian American sports podcast. Two countries, two Americas, all sports.